Hi everyone, this is Sean. In today's video, I'm going to show you the first shot of my Glock 19 MOS Generation 5. I just barely purchased this weapon. I have never fired this gun. In fact, I have never ever fired a Glock 19. So this is gonna be basically my layman version of a review. Guys, please be easy on me. I don't have a camera crew. I'm filming this video on my iPhone and on my GoPro camera. Right now, it's basically ideal shooting conditions. The shooting conditions are so perfect. It's not windy. It's only 16-mile-per-hour winds. Very ideal. So I'm going to show you a review, and we're going to discuss whether or not I believe a Glock 19 is a good firearm, a good handgun for those of you who are working private security, and maybe you want to get into an executive protection detail and you have a concealed weapon permit. Is a Glock 19 a good weapon? Is it an accurate weapon? So let's talk about that. So let me show it to you on camera. I'm actually filming inside my truck because, like I said, it's ideal shooting conditions. It's 16-mile-per-hour winds out there. I literally had to run about 110 yards that way and then another 110 yards back the other way. And then within 3 minutes, my target blew down to the east again, and I had to run back, this time maybe 115 yards, and then I had to walk back 115 yards. So I'm pretty winded right now. Okay, so here's my new gun. I'm going to take out the magazine out of the well. We'll ensure that the weapon is unloaded, it's in safe condition. Nothing in the magazine well. There's nothing in the chamber. I have visually and physically inspected the chamber, especially for you YouTube analysts here. I'm running a Holosun 507C. This is the X2 version. All the equipment that I showcase, I'm gonna try my best to leave a link in the description below. However, Big Brother tends to censor some things that I talk about, so I'll be very restrictive on what I post in the description box. I have my Surefire 300, and that's it, you guys. Basically, this is basic. I do have a magazine. What it actually does is it extends the grip. It does not extend the capacity. I've had horrible problems with magazine extensions where you could add 2 or 3 extra rounds. I've seen that with different types of brands, but this is my setup here. Okay, and this is just so that I get more of a purchase. And actually, what I like about the Gen 5, I might actually take out this extension here, or I want to call it a grip extension, not really a magazine extension. So if I take it out, I still have a very good purchase on it. The magazine well is actually flared out, which I like. Gives you better control of loading and unloading. We have these serrations on the slide here, and with the generation 5, I'm not sure if the generation 4 does this, but you can see right here, it's basically rounded off the corners of the slide here. Okay, now this is the MOS version. Basically what that means is it will accept an optic without any additional milling. I have, get into my safe, gun is safe, nothing in the magazine well, visually and physically inspected. Chamber here, nothing in it. So this is my generation 4 frame. This is a Glock 22 in 40 caliber. This is a generation 4, generation 3 slide. The slide does fit. I actually had to send off the slide to JagerWorks to get an optic cut because generation 3 does not come with, actually no Glocks unless they're MOS cut have that optic cut. So I had to get this milled. This cost me an additional about $250 to $300, and it took me almost 2 months to get back. Okay. With here, I don't have to spend that additional money for that resource. The barrel is, it's a 4-inch barrel. And by the way, the Glock 22 is basically your Glock 17, a very similar size. But putting it side to side, Okay, the Glock 19 is obviously smaller. Okay, here's the grip. So once again, you can compare a Glock 22 to a Glock 17. They're very similar in size. And this is the difference between the grip here. Glock 19 and Glock 22. Next, what I'm going to do is zero in my target. I have not zeroed this target. I don't know where the shots are going to impact. I'm using a T-Rex Arms 10 yard, 25 yard zero. I zero in at 10 yards, and that's going to give me a ballpark figure of where my impact would be at 25 yards. For me, it's just so much more easier to shoot at 10 yards as it is to shoot at 25 yards, especially when you're zeroing the target. I want to waste as little time as possible. So let's go ahead and do that. I will be shooting in the prone position. Well, I'm back from zeroing in on my target. Once again, I used the 10 yard, 25 yard zero. At 10 yards, my impacts were a little bit up. They're up there, they're elevated, so I needed to go down 8 clicks. But guys, overall, I am really, really impressed by this Glock 19 MOS Generation 5. The trigger is crisp. It's just like your standard Glock trigger. I think a little bit better than the other versions. I will say that there's one thing here that does not make any sense at all. So this is a MOS brand. Well, it's a MOS type of Glock. So it's built to accommodate a red dot optical. Why would you put sights on here that are your standard height? So normally what you would do is with a gun that would accommodate a red dot optic is you want to have your backup iron sights at suppressor height. This is not suppressor height, guys. I mean, look how low that these are. You couldn't even, if this red dot went out, you could count on your front sight, which actually should be a little bit more elevated, but you could discount the rear sights because they're not elevated. They're not suppressor height. Maybe one of the reasons I think is Glock was trying to save some money, and by creating suppressor height sights that are plastic, because these are plastic, maybe their product would fail, maybe it would break a lot more easier. Maybe that's why. I just don't understand why you'd pay nearly $600 and you would get your standard height sights in plastic. So that really didn't make any sense. But so far, guys, I love this gun. I think when you shoot it, or if you shoot it, you're going to love it too so far. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shoot duty ammunition, again, at 10 yards, and then I'm going to reconfirm at 25 yards. I'm going to use 6R, the V Crown. This is 124 grain. So let's see how it does. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, there was ideal shooting conditions. We still have a 16-mile-per-hour wind, and I had sun blowing in my eyes. At the 7-yard line, I noticed that my shots were drifting over to the right significantly. That was probably because of my body positioning, fighting the wind, fighting the dust. And then at 25 yards, that grouping, it could be, I could get a little bit better than that. But obviously when you put a human body behind a firearm, you're going to, basically the gun would shoot better on its own. You put that human element and you're going to get your sights off anyhow, or your hits off. I am satisfied with my 0, and I'm going to just shoot it. Now I'm going to be shooting a 5-yard drill, and I'm going to test my accuracy. I'm going to test my flinch response. So let's see how I do at 5 yards. Let's see how this gun also performs at a 5-yard distance. 5 yards is the equivalent of about 15 feet. I love this gun. This gun is awesome. So at 5 yards, which is roughly 15 feet, I was aiming dead center for that black circle that you saw. And most of my rounds were generally on it or around it. Guys, I'm shooting this in 16-mile-per-hour winds where my body's actually moving along with the wind. If it was less windy, I'd be more stable, and I think my groupings would be a lot better. But I love this gun, you guys. It's accurate, it's efficient. As for recoil, it returns back to where it needs to go rather quickly. I love it so far. I think you're gonna like this gun. Okay guys, please bear with me with the wind. I might have to do a voiceover if the wind is too strong, but let me show you how you're able to conceal this weapon pretty decently depending on what you are wearing. So I got my blue jeans and my t-shirt. It is a thin t-shirt. Well, it's basically, it's close to the body. It's a tight-fitting t-shirt is what I want to say. But this is how it prints. And I'm wearing this appendix, okay, just like this. So let me put the t-shirt on. Just depending on what you're doing, guys, I don't feel comfortable walking inside of a store without alerting somebody that I have a concealed weapon. Now remember, I'm in California, so it's a little bit different in California, but to me, I just don't feel too comfortable walking inside of a store with a lot of people. I just feel like it just prints too much with a regular t-shirt. With appendix carry, that's pretty much as close as you're gonna get to the body, and in terms of concealability and also efficiency. Now, I put on my collared shirt. Let's see how this works. as you can see, it hardly prints, you guys. Look at. And this is a tighter fitting t-shirt as well. Usually when you bend over with some of these firearms, especially if you were at the 3 o'clock position, once you bend over, you see the magazine or the grip of the gun, but it conceals pretty good. Look at. So I could go from this position. We're actually at about 28, maybe 29 yards out. But look how awesome this is. So there's a threat over there at 28 yards. Obviously, depending on what type of assignment you have, you're able to go from a concealed position to shots on target with combat effective hits with this Glock 19. This is how accurate it is. This is how efficient it is. Not bad, huh? Okay, let's talk about how this gun would look like in a holster. So maybe you're working private security, you have an exposed firearm permit, or you're carrying in exposed fashion. How would the Glock 19 look on your body? And this is how it looks like, you guys. So this is a Glock 22, very similar in size to a Glock 17. It would be something like this. But look, I mean, you get a full grip. You get a full grip on this. It looks a little bit smaller, like your typical duty gun, but this is awesome. Just look at this. So from here, okay guys, I'm back. I'm not at the range right now. I'm actually on my way back home. And I want to give you my final thoughts. Well, number one, with the 507C, the Holosun, something that I suggest to Holosun is allow your adjustments to be made with a coin, maybe a dime, a penny, or a nickel. You have to use this small little tool in order to move the adjustments around. So I didn't have none of that tool around. I didn't have no tools around. So I used a paper, a staple. I used a staple that was flat, and I ended up hurting my finger. It was a bit sharp. Also, I believe the Glock 19 is a great weapon if you are going to work private security. Maybe you're going to wear a uniform, and you also have the possibility of maybe getting an executive protection assignment where you're going to be carrying in a concealed way. You can carry exposed or concealed, and this gun is effective either way. Now, if there was no chance that I would work executive protection, or there's no chance that I would get a concealed weapon permit, maybe I want to carry this thing when I'm not at work, then I would just go with the Glock 17. Now, obviously, those of you who are not, I'm not really a Glock fan. Well, actually, before today, I wasn't much of a Glock fan. I just carry it because my department, the agency where I work with, requires that. Well, that's a primary weapon. We could carry any other weapon we want to, but that's a primary weapon. And as a range master, I have to perfect this weapon system when I do my demos, when I do my demonstrations. So that's why I choose the Glock. But a competitor to the Glock 19 would be your Smith & Wesson 2.0 series. You have a similar barrel length. I believe they're 2.0 series. It might be 3.9 inches instead of 4. And then you have your Staccato C series, which holds, I think it's 17 rounds of ammunition as well. But those are your competitors. Now, I prefer the Staccato C. However, that is on the that's not on the handgun roster in California, so you can't carry unless you got it from a private party transfer or you have some type of exemptions. But if you're in California, you can have a Gen 1, 2, or 3 Glock 19. There won't be a problem. You can get the 4 or 5 if you do it private party transfer as well. But this is the gun, you guys. This is the gun that I highly suggest. Again, I know that some of you guys are Smith & Wesson fans. You're fans of other weapon systems, maybe the Walter series. I'd like to know what your take is on this. What do you carry, you guys? Do you work executive protection? Do you flip-flop between executive protection and uniform private security? Those of you who are retiring from law enforcement, or you're maybe in your law enforcement, do you carry the Glock 19 for on-duty and exposed and concealed carry purposes as well? I don't know any jurisdiction in California that carries a Glock 19 as their primary exposed firearm, but there might be some in other states. Now, obviously, I'm not privy to every single department in California. I don't have access to the armory, so I don't know exactly what every agency is carrying. But those of you in law enforcement in other states, do you carry the Glock 19 off-duty? Do you carry it on-duty in an exposed manner? I really like to know. I got information also that the Navy SEALs, apparently, they also carry the Glock 19. I could be wrong on that. But, hey, if the Navy SEALs carries it, it's a good idea to carry it as well, guys. They have extensive training and experience with different weapon systems. They have full-time firearm instructors. That's my understanding, and that's their primary sidearm right now, based on my understanding, though. So that's another green light to definitely carry that type of weapon system. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. What do you carry at work? Interested in knowing. Does it work for you? Take care.